Hi, I'm here with Sean Campbell for an interview on personal finance for MN200 Introduction to Management. Could you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your position?
Sure. I am a cost estimator for the city of Danville. I've owned my own business and I've managed a number of other businesses. And I guess I'm here today to talk to you about personal finance.
Yeah, could you give me some insight into personal finance?
Sure. Personal finance is basically what it sounds like. It's managing finances and financial decisions for a person or a family. Um, Way to explain it though is to get from where you are to where you want to be.
So, where's a good place to start?
I guess a good place to start would be with budgeting. Um, you need a plan. You need to know where you want to get to, and need to know where you're starting. Um, you set a goal. The one thing to remember most about setting a budget and setting a goal is that it's never going to stay the same, and you're never going to be able to follow the same plan for the rest of your life. It's very fluid. It's going to change. It involves changes in your income, changes in your bills, stuff like that.
And so, what goes into a budget?
Well, basically, what you're going to look at when you put your budget together is income, assets, savings, and expenses. As far as income, probably for most people, their biggest income is going to be the paycheck they bring home from their job. Eventually, down the line, as your income progresses and you you work on your savings plan, you may have other incomes that come in from other investments. But for the most part, with most people, their income is their paycheck from their job, minus their taxes, minus their health insurances they have taken out, and stuff like that.
Okay, and can you explain assets?
Assets are anything that you own that has value. Um, your biggest asset, most people's biggest asset, will be their house that they own. And owning a house as opposed to renting generally is a good financial decision. While you do pick up the added expenses of maintenance, you're spending money every month that you need to spend to live, regardless whether you're renting or you have a mortgage. And in the end, you've still got something of value. Other assets that you'd have would be savings in your savings account. That's an asset. It's something that is worth something that's immediately available to you. Vehicles are an asset, but vehicles are more what they consider a depreciating asset. Unlike a house, property will generally hold its own value or increase over time in value. Vehicles almost always consistently decrease in value. So every year that you own it, that asset is actually worth less and less and less. Um, which actually brings us into something gratitude, gratification, sorry. Delayed gratification is probably one of most people's biggest problem. When you decide you need a new motor vehicle and you go to buy your car and you see the pretty little red car for $45,000 at the end of the lot, that's the point in time where you need to control yourself and say, hey, do I need the $45,000 car, or will the $12,000 car get me there and allow me to put more money away in my savings?
So, what are some other examples of assets?
Other examples of assets, IRAs, 401ks, which are basically retirement plans. Um, they're something you can put money into, and it will earn you money over time. The other plus side to IRAs and 401ks are that the contributions that you make are either tax deductible or are taken pre-tax out of your paycheck if it's a 401k. So there's a way to save a little money on the tax they're taking out of your check, and a way to put some money aside. Downside to them is that it's not money that is readily available to you immediately. It's not like cash that you have in the bank where you can get right to it and get it out. Another good option and would be considered an asset is investing in low risk mutual funds. Something that is not a high risk of you losing money. While you may not earn a lot over time, your money's a little safer there and you will make some money.
And what can you tell me about savings?
Savings, there's two ways to handle your savings. Your money in a checking account would be your savings, but it's not making anything for you. Savings accounts, well, if you go into your local bank to open a savings account, you may find yourself making half a percentage point or so on your money in the savings accounts. There are savings accounts out there, if you look, that'll give you 2.3, 2.5%. The advantage to them is you're making a little more money, but if you have an emergency, if you have a situation, that's money that you can, is readily available to you to take out of the bank.
And so what about expenses?
Well, expenses are your house, your rent, utility bills, things that people just don't take into consideration a lot of times. Car insurance, homeowners insurance, liability insurance, your utility bills, and credit cards, things like that are all going to be your expenses. With loans and credit cards, there are things that you're going to have to take out loans for. You're going to have to take out a loan to purchase a house. Very few people, unless they won the lottery, are going to be able to afford to go out and just purchase a house with cash. Automobiles are expensive, and most people aren't able to just go out and buy an automobile with cash. If you can save a good down payment, that will help you with the interest you're paying, and in the end cost you less money, but they are a necessity for some purchases. Credit cards, while they have their place and in emergency situations, especially if it's in a time where you haven't been able to develop any savings, they can be useful there. They can get you out of trouble. They can also get you into a lot of trouble. You're looking at something with high interest rates. If you're going to use a credit card, for something like getting 6% off when you buy your groceries, because that credit card offers that's great, but you've got to pay it off every month. And that's why they can afford to give you 6%, because so many people don't pay it off every month. Insurances, health insurance, homeowners insurance. You need to protect your assets. The assets that we talked about before, they're all exposed in liable situations. Somebody falls down on your property and sues you, you can lose your house. Your house burns down, you have no house. Insurance is the best way to protect all your assets. It protects your vehicle, protects your home. A lot of homeowners policies protect you personally for liability. If not, you have the ability to take out separate personal liability policies. It's good to have liability on your horses.
So just to wrap everything up, could you just give me a quick summary of what we've talked about today?
Yes. I think really the best way to summarize it is it's common sense. A lot of it is just common sense. You can read what you want to read and look up what you want to look, and you'll find places that tell you that you need to put away 20% of your money, and let's be honest, that's not realistic a lot of times. The biggest thing is when you go look at something, ask yourself, do I really need it? I'm not saying don't buy yourself something that you want, but make sure that's the thing that you want that year. Be smart with your purchases. Don't run up credit cards for things that you don't need. bills off as best you can, and definitely manage to save something